Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'd really love that if you're returning. How you doing today? All right, you know the drill, right? Grab your coffee, maybe a snack or two, and let's get into it, okay? This is something that I've been wanting to discuss, all right? And this is something that's a little serious, okay? And how do I even start this off, okay? Everywhere, the cost of food is rising sharply. Whether the world is in for a long period of continued increases has become one of the most urgent issues in economics. It's a perfect storm that's going on, no doubt about it. Rice prices jumped 30% to an all-time high, raising fears of fresh outbreaks of social unrest across Asia, where the grain is a staple of food for more than 2.5 billion people. Okay. Now, I'm sure you've all heard of the seals, okay? Now, I don't want to go and get all religious on you and everything, but the third seal. When he broke the third seal, I heard the third living creature saying, "Come." I looked, and behold, the black horse, and he who sat on it had a pair of scales in his hand, and I heard something like a voice in the center of the four living creatures saying, "A quart of wheat for a denarius, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius, and do not damage the oil and the wine." Described here is rapid food inflation. Following the first 2 seals, which introduced the white and the red horses, okay, these signifying the consecutive stages of a global peace and prosperity, and war and strife comes with this picture of soaring prices and the 2 agricultural products of wheat and barley. It is a timely topic to explore, if for no other reason than the world again appears to be on a verge of a period of major food inflation. This may not be overly obvious to North Americans just yet. However, the precursors to this global development can hardly be ignored. Basic food prices in North America have surely surged as of late. For example, raw milk futures on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange have risen 80% over the past year. Wheat prices have doubled from a year ago, while corn prices have more than doubled since the start of 2006. Similar price spikes can be observed across a wide range of agricultural products. Other countries are experiencing even higher surges. In China, pork prices are triple that of a year ago. And in Russia, most food items tracked by the Statistics Committee, it's called Rosstat, rose 30% in 1 month. Now, granted, these current days events may not be any more significant than other similar occurrences of virulent food inflation in world history yet. All the same, the unprecedented global trends being witnessed today do beckon the question: could this vision in Revelation 6 be connected with developments already evident on the world scene today? We'll seek to answer this question. In the pursuit of an answer, let's delve into the interpretation of the prophecy found in Revelation 6:6. We see that a quart of wheat costs the equivalent of a day's wage, denarian, denarion. In the original Greek, as does 3 quarts of barley. Actually, quite a few Bible translations obscure the meaning of this prophecy as they employ unhelpful interpretations for the Greek word denarian. And this refers to the denarius, and that's denarius, which is the most common Roman coin in earlier New Testament times. And though this currency has experienced some minor inflation by the time that Apostle John recorded the book of Revelation, as best as we can tell it, was still considered the equivalent of a laborer's daily wage. Now, the Bible itself confirms this, and earlier in Matthew 22, which is chapter 20, verse 2, we read of a vineyard owner who agreed to pay them a denarius for the day to work for him. Now, just how expensive are these grain prices? We can make some calculations that will provide a perspective relative to the living standards of our day. So let's begin with the wages. The average annual income in the world today, in U.S. terms, is estimated at $7,439, and that is a figure including both high and low income countries. Assuming that it's a 5-day work week, that would amount to about $33 a day. Now, this is where the black horse appears, okay, today. Just how much would it cost to buy either 1 quart of wheat or 3 quarts of barley? As a rough estimate, about 150 times higher than the price of unprocessed grain today. Now, let's look at the food adequacy of this amount of grain. How long would that grain sustain one person? The term interpreted as a quart is the ancient dry goods measure. Now it's called, I can't pronounce it, CHOINIX. Now this measure, though sources are somewhat imprecise on its size, is about equivalent to 1.2 dry quarts or 1.3 liters. Now, assuming that the average household in the world today would have approximately 1 worker per household of 3.5 people, which is indeed like a representative of the average household size worldwide, then 1 could measure of wheat or 3 quarts of barley sustain a household of this size. Barely. Now, both wheat and barley have approximately the same caloric content, which is about 90 calories per ounce. And as there are roughly 40 ounces in one of these choinix, and that's that CHOINIX, choinix, 1 day's wages could acquire at maximum 3,600 calories of wheat or 10,800 calories of barley. However, let's not forget that there are more days in a week than there are work days. Now, making this adjustment, that would only allow 2,750 calories of wheat per day, for example. According to the UN Food and Agricultural Organization, or FAO, the average person in the world today consumes a little over 2,700 calories a day. For illustration, assuming that humankind maintains this same level of consumption, it appears that 100% of a laborer's daily wages would more be required to supply a household with sufficient food at that time. Even in this case, a family could only eat barley, the coarser grain, and not wheat, and barley was considered the poor man's flour in Old Testament times. And it was more difficult to process it because of its hard husk, and it didn't have quite the same favorable baking properties as wheat. And today barley is just more imported feed for like livestock. Okay. Now, having made these comparisons to conditions of our day, we can well understand why the voice in Revelation chapter 6 verse 6 said, "Do not damage the oil and the wine." And these items would surely be high-priced foods during that time. Also, this may explain why meat is not mentioned. Meat is much more expensive than grain. And after all, some livestock, for example, poultry and cattle, are grain-fed, requiring as much as 3 and more pounds of grain to produce a pound of meat. And finally, let's focus on another strange feature of this. Wheat during that time is 3 times as expensive as barley. Now, today, if you were to transact on the Winnipeg Commodity Exchange, wheat and barley prices would be broadly similar to about $200 per metric ton. Why then will wheat prices soar to 3 times that of barley at the time of the third seal? Again, now this is speculation, okay? Barley usually yields about 50% more in bushel terms per acre than wheat does. However, it is also a hardier cereal grain that can grow under more diverse conditions than wheat, and perhaps growing conditions at that future time will favor barley. So, why will the affordability of food decline at the time of the Black Horse? There may be any possible number of causes. Such details will remain speculative, okay? However, we can certainly point to reasons why agricultural prices may be soaring, although these may not be relevant to all that future time. For example, among the possible factors may be changing weather patterns, the impact of rising petroleum prices, agricultural uses of high amount of energy through transportation, fertilizer, pesticides, the rapid increase of wealth in Asia, China particularly. And it's related to higher demand for more expensive food, like meat, more general supply-demand problems. It is a fact that the amount of arable land in the world continues to decline on a per capita basis. Moreover, the days of high grains and agricultural crop yields through the use of fertilizers and pesticides seems to be over. There could be yet other reasons unique to our time. And some financial market observers speculate that a huge speculative boom could occur in the prices of things, like gold or any type of commodity, as people flee from plunging currencies. The world appears ripe for such a phenomenon. Certainly, countries around the world continue to debase their currencies, and the world's wealth skew may be more extreme today than ever before in history. Also, some analysts today are predicting imminent disaster for world agriculture, arguing that the reckless development of genetically modified foods, The massive reduction of biodiversity through the extinction of thousands of natural plant food varieties already witnessed over the past century, and the exhaustion of farmland through erosion, toxicity, makes for certain troubles in the future. These are all factors unique to our era, never having occurred before. And all in all, the modern world that man has made is assuredly ripe for disaster, if not judgment. So, while all the above-mentioned trends and developments are surely relevant to our day, we are best to rely on the good book for explanations. What say you? Now, on to this, okay, because I didn't want to get too much into that, okay. There was another coincidence. I don't know if you've heard about this. There was an aluminum spill that caused a fire at a manufacturing plant in Milwaukee. The Fond du Lac Fire Department reported a small fire that broke out after molten aluminum spilled at a Mercury Marine Plant 17. It was on Pioneer Road at 1:30 in the morning. But this happened on a Sunday. Yeah, and it happened on March 27th. I don't know why. I'm just finding out about this now. This is a new one that I did not hear about. So it took more than an hour to contain and remove the molten aluminum. Officials say 30 workers were evacuated safely. No one was hurt. So that link will be in the description box below for all of you. Okay. And then this. Another coincidence. A fire at a factory owned by the sole provider of a vital technology used to manufacture computer chips could exacerbate an already serious global shortage of semiconductors used in everything from phones to cars. Yeah. Another coincidence. But this one happened on a Sunday in Berlin, Germany at ASML Holding. So they are no longer happening on Thursdays. They're now happening on Sundays. So keep your eyes and ears open, kids. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I love you. I'll see you in the next one. You stay safe. You stay positive. You keep prepping. And as always, feel blessed.